Handheld gaming isn't anything new, with Mattel's Auto Race bringing gaming on the go to the world back in 1976, and the Game Boy bringing it to the mainstream masses in 1989. And it's certainly fitting that the first mobile game was a racing game, because that's what we do on this channel. And that's what we're going to talk about today, but specifically on the Game Boy Advance. Introduced in 2001 and lasting for 2 years until the SP came around, and then lasting for a few more years until the DS, this was my first handheld console, and I loved it in all of its dim 32-bit glory. Every game I had except Sonic Advance 2 was a racing or driving game, and despite the advances in handheld technology with the Switch and Steam Deck and even phones being able to play such high quality games, playing on my Game Boy Advance were some of the most fond gaming memories I have. So let's take a look at some of those games. First, let's talk open world. The same day GTA San Andreas was released, Rockstar also released GTA Advance with more top-down gameplay, which admittedly did suit the Game Boy well. The Driver titles, on the other hand, offered something a bit different. Driver 2 for Advance offered what is essentially a dumbed-down port of itself. You can walk around, get in cars, and the missions are similar. Not everything is there, obviously, but I preferred it as a kid because it felt like the games I was used to playing on my PC, even if it was more pixelated. 3 years later, Driver 3, or Driv 3R, had its own Game Boy Advance port that looked objectively better, but played worse in my opinion. The driving felt sloppier, and even though I still enjoyed this as a kid, I don't find it as enjoyable now. Now let's talk about a gift from my mom, Herbie Fully Loaded. I saw the movie when I was younger and liked it, and since I had saved money to buy my Game Boy and buy my own games, my mom would take pity on me and occasionally get games for me. Probably from clearance racks or something, I don't really know. She's not really too big on gaming, but she did her best. And honestly, this game kind of went hard when I was younger. I played this game again to get footage for this and forgot how kind of great this was, and got sucked in for a good 45 minutes doing the story mode. There's power-ups, and the game doesn't look horrible. It's not the greatest, but I could definitely see myself periodically doing playthroughs as a kid and having fun. Solid pick, Mom. Next, we're going to take a little break from games I played as a kid, talk about a game I wanted to try for the last 2 weeks, and happened to stumble upon at my local game store for $50. Colin McRae 2.0, made by Codemasters and Ubisoft? Weird. The GBA version actually received decent reviews alongside its PC and PlayStation counterparts, which led to me wanting to try it desperately. The menus looked so similar to the PC version, so I had high hopes, and then I got into the race, and yeah, but as I raced and saw the car fly around and get covered in mud and realized the driving physics were actually pretty great, I understood. If you wanted a great rally experience on your Game Boy Advance in 2002, this was the way. Let's talk Stuntman. I love Stuntman, and I will forever sing its praises. I hope for another sequel probably more than any other game series. That being said, Stuntman never felt like a game that belonged on a Game Boy. PSP or Vita, sure, but Game Boy, I don't know. Stuntman is a unique gaming experience that gets hindered by the limited capabilities of the Game Boy Advance. Certainly back in 2003, I loved this and played this more than almost every other game we're going to talk about, but playing this again and comparing it to its PS2 counterpart or Ignition, I can't quite say it holds up. Before we talk about my favorite Game Boy Advance game, we have to talk about one more special gift from Mom, Matchbox Crosstown Heroes. I know Herbie was a hit, but this game is a total miss and kind of a fever dream. I don't remember playing this as a kid, but I remember it sitting in my Game Boy case, never really getting touched, and here's why. You're a series of first responders in a matchbox circus world chasing arsonist clowns and running over animals while nauseating music plays on a 4-second loop. Like I said before, Mom did her best. Maybe calling these next games Gran Turismo on Game Boy is a little much, but they're really as close as you're going to get. Plus, because they're my favorite games of all time on the Game Boy Advance, I'm a little bit biased. So it is what it is. I got introduced to this game on a road trip to South Carolina, and my friend and I spent the whole trip there and back passing the Game Boy back and forth doing race after race after race. And when we got back, he let me keep it because he was getting GT Advance 3, so I spent many more hours with every car and every track. It truly is amazing that a launch title for Game Boy Advance was this good, considering how many games for the system still looked and played at questionable qualities long into the system's life. With an amazing car list that grew with every sequel and a truly perfect physics engine for the Game Boy Advance, it really was the ultimate racer for the console. In my opinion, and the opinion of many other reviewers, the series was ruined by the follow-up on Wii, and should have stayed handheld by going for DS and 3DS sequels, but this is the universe we live in, unfortunately. I love my Game Boy Advance, and while I don't still have my original dim, wide, purple Game Boy Advance, I have an orange SP, and I play it every now and again. My Game Boy Advance was my first taste at gaming out in the world. The grocery store, school, funerals, wherever I wanted to game, my Game Boy Advance gave me the power to do so. And these were the games, for better or worse, that traveled with me and kept me occupied, at least until something better came along. But that's another video. Not all of them were the best, not all of them hold up today, but damn it, they were mine. Let me know in the comments some of your favorite Game Boy games or memories, and thanks for watching. Cheers. Oh, and if you could like and subscribe, that'd be great. I played this stupid Matchbox game and it gave me fucking brain damage.